Europe, 1943. The Allies gamble everything on a daylight bombing campaign on Nazi Germany by the US 8th Air Force. It's a gamble they are losing.
Wave after wave of enemy fighters attack the unescorted bombers.
In mid-1943, the 8th Air Force was basically being shot out of the sky.
While the RAF bomb at night, the Americans are certain they can achieve greater accuracy by bombing in daylight. But without the cover of darkness, the lumbering bombers are easy prey for German fighters. The Americans had believed their B-17 flying fortresses to be impregnable. They are wrong.
We found out, much to our dismay, that the vaunted firepower of the B-17 were still not enough to protect us from a concentrated attack of German fighters.
The daylight bombing campaign is threatened with failure, and with it, the most effective means of taking the war to Germany. What the Americans need is a fighter that can match the bomber's range of up to 1,400 miles, match the bomber's altitude of 35,000 feet, and after that, take on the Luftwaffe. In 1943, only one fighter has the combination of range and performance to save the daylight bombing campaign. The story of the Allied victory in the air over Germany is the story of the P51 Mustang.
If you want to go to Berlin and mix it up with the enemy and be able to keep him off the bomber stream and engage the Luftwaffe and shoot it down, it was the P51. There was no other fighter.
Well, I felt that I had about the best weapon that was available. The state-of-the-art was right where I'd like to see it. Everything that makes a good fighter was right at our fingertips.
It was truly the sport car of its era. At the time, I felt like I was one of the luckiest pilots in the Air Force to be able to fly the Mustang. It was the greatest.
The Mustang, the savior of the American Air War, began life in 1940. Ironically, it was the British who inspired it. A massive order by the RAF had led to North American Aviation designing a brand new fighter. Combining the very latest design methods and state-of-the-art technology, the end product was named the P51.
We were in the middle of trying to be an isolationist nation. We were not going to go to war in Europe. So had it not been for the British buy of these airplanes, the U.S. probably never would have had the P-51. And as is typical of the British flair for naming things, they named it the Mustang.
The P-51 Mustang, with its killing potential, has brought new hope to a besieged Britain.
The RAF, when they took delivery of this aircraft late in 1941 and early in 42, used it for supporting the Army, tactical fighter, shooting up the enemy on the ground and photo reconnaissance at low level. It was a beautifully streamlined aerodynamic airframe, but it had this Allison engine. The Allison engine was a damn good engine at low altitude, but it had no supercharging. And unfortunately, above 15,000 feet, power fell off, and it was no match for any German interceptor of its day.
The Mustang needed just one addition to make it a true thoroughbred. That addition came courtesy of the British.
Fortunately, a couple of people who were somewhat influential in British production managed to fly the airplane. And one of them, Ronnie Harker from Rolls-Royce, said, let's put a Merlin on this thing.
The British-made Merlin engine, produced by Rolls-Royce, had a peerless reputation for power and performance. It was the same engine used in the Spitfire. The supercharged Merlin now enabled the P-51 to double its altitude. It could now fly as high as the American bombers at 40,000 feet, 6 miles up in the sky.
There was a quantum improvement with the introduction of the Rolls-Royce Merlin. And does anything sound any better than that Rolls-Royce Merlin? That dude just hums. It's just a lovely engine to listen to. Doesn't sound too bad inside the cockpit either.
The Mustang cockpit is extremely well organized. A pilot can just reach blindly and get the controls fairly quickly. This is the throttle. It's probably one of the finest feeling throttles in any airplane. Everybody who flies a Mustang loves this great handful of throttle. The stick, up here at the top is machine guns or bombs, depending on which. It has a trigger on the front and a button on the top, and you can use one for guns, one for bombs. Down here is the fuel management system. The flying instruments are well organized, straight in the front of the pilot. Altitude, airspeed, compass, turn and bank, propeller control, mixture control. At the left side are the flaps, all the trims, elevator, aileron, rudder. I've really covered most of what a pilot does in this airplane that quickly. It is that easy to manage. Not only is the airplane simple inside, it's simple outside. The tail, straightforward and simple, with a balanced, mass-balanced elevator. Any World War II airplane is going to require a large rudder because the torque on the propeller is so intense and so massive. He's going to need a lot of this to help him. As you can see, this flap is massive, and of course the whole idea is to slow the airplane down enough so you can land it. Of course, 50 caliber guns went up in here. Excellent firepower in 650 caliber guns. Nice thin laminar flow wing. The whole idea, I can actually get my hand around the chord of this wing, the thickness. The thinner the wing, the faster it will go. Enormous four-bladed propeller in front, Hamilton standard propeller. 11 feet 2 inches in diameter. It is a massive gyroscope, and the only way to control this thing is either with your hand or your feet. The hand being the throttle and your feet being the rudder. Of course, the great Merlin engine, that's what makes the airplane what it was in World War II. This high-altitude engine developed and designed by the British, built by the Packard Motor Car Company under license in the U.S., made the Mustang the long-range fighter and the high-altitude fighter that it was.
I was 22, and at 22, one likes the good lines of machinery, young ladies, but the P51 simply had a class of all its own. It was a beauty to behold.
In 1942, despite the high performance of the Mustang, America's Air Force commanders saw little use for it. They put their faith in the bombers of the 8th Air Force, principally the B-17 Flying Fortress. It was aptly named the Fortress, with its 9 gun positions, power-operated gun turrets, and twin 50 caliber machine guns. Their belief in the firepower of the bombers was so great, they saw no need for fighter escort, even bombing in daylight. The Luftwaffe would quickly teach them a lesson.